Hello and welcome to this introduction to the EC2 instances on AWS. So we're going to take a look at what EC2 is, so what the EC2 service from AWS is. We're going to take a look at a couple of characteristics for the service, and we're going to take a look at the pricing, and then we're going to do a little bit of a demo to see how you can launch your own instance. So what is EC2? EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. And basically what that is a virtual machine in the cloud offered by AWS. So all in all, you're getting a virtual machine that you can use to host your applications on. And you're in control of this virtual machine, so you just get the compute power by AWS, and then you can use it to your own needs. So you can have your own operating system that you can have it on your virtual machine, and then obviously you can use it to run your applications. So you can run a Kubernetes cluster, for example, you can run web servers, you can run a lot of things, databases, a bunch of stuff. So basically you're getting compute power in the cloud. It's scalable, so that means that it's also resizable, scalable, and also there's auto scaling for EC2 and those kind of things. And one of the key points here is that you pay for what you use. So only you're paying for what you're using. So only while the EC2 instance is running, that's when you're paying. Now, since we moved into that direction, let's go and take a look at the pricing options. So I'm going to go right over here, and these are the couple of pricing options that EC2 is offered in. So there's the on-demand one. That's the one where you're basically requesting an EC2 instance on demand, and you're paying by the hour. So you're paying by the hour. And that's usually going to be, one of the use cases where you mostly try out the EC2 instances, and you're trying out things, you're seeing what works for you and those kind of things. Then there's the reserved tier. So the reserved tier is basically where you in advance reserve EC2 instances, and you're going to get a discount. So you, for example, do an in advance reservation of, let's say, 1 year, and you know that you want a specific type of EC2 instances with specific performances, and you're going to get a discount if you do that. So if you in advance reserve instances. And then there's the spot instances. So those are unused compute power. So those are unused instances that those are going to be the cheapest ones. So those are the ones that might be like that they might not be always available. So these are instances where you would use for systems that don't really need that can kind of handle restarts or stopping or some kind of things like that, because these instances are kind of like with a variable price. And for example, if you're getting them for one price, and if they're no longer that price, like you're not going to be able to obviously get them for the price that you want them, and they're going to stop. So these are kind of variable, let's say, and these are like really for systems where it's not important that the server shuts down or it restarts, but they're the cheapest ones. So you can save quite a bunch of money if you're using the spot instances. So there are use cases where you can use them. And then we have the dedicated. So the dedicated instances, those are basically a dedicated server, a dedicated EC2 server, and that's going to be the most expensive option in this case. So the dedicated EC2 instance. Those are kind of the 4 pricing tiers. And now for the next step, we're really going to move on to the demo, and we're going to launch an EC2 instance. Before we continue with the demo, I would like to show you another tool from AWS that could help you with the pricing and how much you would need to pay. So basically the calculator.aws. So if you go to this website URL, you're going to get to the AWS pricing calculator, where you can add services and add the amount of those services, and then you're going to get a calculation of how much that would cost you. So this is a pretty useful tool in order to see how much certain services would cost you to use them. So now we're going to go to the demo next. So now we're going to do a demo on how to launch an EC2 instance. So what I have here, I have the AWS console. So this is the console, this is the dashboard page. And in order to go to EC2, you can go and search here for EC2 up at the top, and you're going to get presented with the EC2 service right over here. When you click on it, if you've never created an EC2 instance, you're going to get this kind of screen where it kind of gives you a little bit of an explanation of what EC2 is. And in order to create an EC2 instance, you can go ahead and click the Launch Instance button right over here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, right at the top, we can specify the name of our instance. So in this case, let's just say, let's just go with server 1, let's say. Then I'm going to scroll down. So this is the Amazon machine image. So as you can see, you got quite a bunch of things here. So you got Amazon Linux, you got macOS, you got Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, and a couple of more Linux distributions. Obviously, you got more here, so you can search for more, but these are kind of like some of them pointed out right over here. Now, that's basically the OS that's going to be running on your EC2 instance. So this is going to be the name. This is going to be the OS that's going to be running on your EC2 instance. So right over here, as you can see, I'm going to choose the Amazon Linux. So basically the Amazon Linux machine image right over there. And then this thing here, basically, as you can see, this OS is free tier eligible. So what does that mean? So if you create an Amazon account, you do get a free tier where you can use some services for free up to a certain limits, of course. And EC2 is one of those services. And as you can see here, it's specified that this OS is actually free tier eligible. This is the architecture, so you got 64-bit x86 or 64-bit ARM architecture, and you got different types of instances. So you got ARM-based instances, and you also have x86-based instances. For now, we're going to keep it on the x86. And now this is the instance type. So this is basically the size of the instance. This is where you specify basically how much CPUs you want to have, how much gigabytes of RAM you want to have, and obviously you can go ahead and choose through a bunch of these. So there's a lot of them. They all have namings, and you can basically see the pricing for that instance by the hour right over here. Now you can go ahead and take a look at this. There's quite a bunch of instances, bunch of different types of them, but we're gonna stick with the default one here. So this one is the free tier eligible. So this is the T2 micro instance that has one virtual CPU and 1 GB of RAM memory. We're gonna keep that one. Now this is the key pair login. So this is basically a key pair login with which you can log into your instance. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna generate a new pair. So I'm gonna generate an RSA pair. I'm just gonna say my server key. Let's just say it like that. Yeah, my server key. And let's just choose the RSA, and I'm just gonna choose the PEM file format. So this is basically, I'm gonna be using the SSH command to log in into our EC2 instance. So I'm gonna choose the PEM key file format. So this is basically gonna be a private and a public key. We're gonna save the private key, and with that one we're going to be able to log in into our virtual machine or into our EC2 instance. You can also download it as a PPK. Basically, this is if you're using PuTTY, so basically to connect to the server, but for now I'm going to keep, and I'm just gonna choose this PEM type of file. I'm going to click create new pair, and I'm just going to save it right over here in this EC2 folder. And just like that, we have created a new key pair that we're going to use to log in into the instance. Now these are the network settings. So the EC2 instance is going to be behind the network, and this network is going to be there for security. That's kind of like a firewall where you can basically specify different rules. And in this case, as you can see, we are allowing SSH traffic from anywhere. Now this, obviously you can specify a bunch of other stuff, but as you can see here, if you're actually having a web server, you can allow the HTTPS and HTTP ports. But for now, we're just going to log in into the server, so I'm really just going to allow the SSH. So as you can see now, it's set here that it's allowed from anywhere. So that means that from anywhere, we're going to be able to access the SSH port. And at the bottom, this is the storage. So I'm just going to keep the I'm just gonna keep the default here. So this is gonna attach a storage, and this is gonna be 8 gigabytes of storage attached to this EC2 instance. And just like that, I can go ahead and click the launch instance. I'm gonna click the launch instance button, and this is gonna create the required resources, and it's gonna create our instance. If I go ahead and click on the instance, as you can see right here in the EC2 dashboard, we can see that we have the server 1 instance. We can see that it's running. And if you go ahead and click it, you would get a lot more details. So you're gonna get the public IPv4 address. You also have the private IPv4 address. You also have a DNS name here for the EC2 instance, and a bunch of other things here that are shown for your EC2 instance. Now, how can you connect to the EC2 instance? So you can connect directly through here. So you can kind of connect through the browser. That's like the easiest way to connect to the instance. So you can go ahead here and click connect, basically connect using the EC2 connect. I can go ahead and connect, and it's going to launch a new tab, and it's going to directly go ahead and connect me into the instance where you can start doing stuff. So this is going to take a moment, but as you can see, we are in the instance. But if you want to connect with SSH, for example, with OpenSSH, for example, if you want to go ahead and connect from your own terminal, you can also do that, obviously. So now we're going to use the terminal in order to connect to our EC2 instance. So what I have right over here is I have the Ubuntu running on WSL on Windows. And in this directory here is where I moved the previously generated key pair. So basically the private key from the previously generated key pair, the myserverkey.pem, I just moved into this directory right over here. And right over here I have the SSH command available. So the OpenSSH is installed, and I have the SSH command available. And I'm going to do SSH-I, and then I'm going to specify our secret key, our private key here. And then I'm going to say that I want to log into the EC2 user at and the public IP address of our EC2 instance. I'm going to click enter. And as we can see, it didn't really work out. Why it didn't work out? So it says that the private file is unprotected, or basically it says that the permissions for this file are kind of too open, and it's basically required that that the private files shouldn't be accessible by others. So if you go here in the permissions, you can see that it kind of is accessible by others. So I'm going to go ahead and change that with chmod. I'm going to do 700. And if I run ll again right over here, as you can see, we kind of have the scenario that we wanted. So only our user is able to read our file. And in this case, if I go ahead and rerun the command, I should be able to log in into our server. And as you can see, we are logged in into the server, and we can go ahead and start using it. So that's going to be basically kind of the basics of EC2. And from here on, you can obviously go ahead and do what you need to do with your EC2 instance. But more or less, that's going to be all from this tutorial. One more thing that I would like to show you is how to terminate, or how to completely delete the instance, so it's not anymore in your basically resources, so you're not anymore using it. So if you want to completely remove it or delete the instance, you can come to the console and you can go select the EC2 instance right over here, and you can go to the instance state, and you can, I guess, stop it. And then after you stop it, so basically we can stop it, you can go ahead and terminate or delete the instance. So if you go ahead and click that, the instance is going to be stopping, and then it's going to go ahead and get deleted completely. So more or less, that's going to be all from this tutorial for the EC2 instances. I hope you learned something new, and see you until the next one.